In today's topic, we are going to discuss about the pathology of the right-sided heart failure. So, in this topic, we are going to discuss about the definition of the right-sided heart failure. Next, we will discuss about the pathogenesis, and we will conclude this topic by discussing in detail about the clinical features as well as the lab findings of the right-sided heart failure. And let us begin this session with the definition. So, what is the definition of the right-sided heart failure? Whenever the right heart cannot able to pump its venous return blood into the lungs, then we will say that it is the right heart failure. So, what is the right heart failure over here? The right heart cannot pump its venous return. This is an important MCQ point to be noted. Whenever the right heart cannot pump its venous return effectively into the lungs, it is called as right-sided heart failure. So, if you see the right heart, for example, if you think that this is the right heart, that is the right ventricle, whenever there is a right heart failure, what happens is there will be a pooling of the blood into the right atria. And we know that the right atria receives blood from superior vena cava as well as inferior vena cava. So, whenever the blood is accumulated in the right atria because the right ventricle cannot able to pump effectively, there will be increased pressure in the right atria, In the same way, there will be accumulation of the blood in superior vena cava as well as in the inferior vena cava. So, there will be increased pressure in the superior vena cava as well as increased pressure in the inferior vena cava. So, we know that inferior vena cava receives blood, that is venous blood from the liver. It also receives blood from various organs. So, what happens is liver drains its venous return into the inferior vena cava by means of hepatic vein. So, hepatic vein cannot drain its blood into the inferior vena cava because inferior vena cava is blocked, because there is an accumulation of the blood, because it cannot drain into the right atrium. So, in the same way, what happens is in the hepatic vein also there will be a blockade of the blood, or we can say there will be accumulation of the blood in the hepatic vein. In the same way, there will be accumulation of the blood in the liver. So, this leads to congestion of the liver and congestion of the various organs. So, whenever we talk about right heart failure, you need to remember that the blood pools under pressure in the venous system, that is, blood builds up behind the failed heart. This is what is the right heart failure. So, at last what you need to remember is right heart failure, right? Right heart failure, that is right ventricular failure, results in an increase in the venous hydrostatic pressure. So, what I will write over here as a second point is there will be increase in the venous hydrostatic pressure. Another important MCQ point. In the right heart failure, there will be an increase in the venous hydrostatic pressure. So, this is what is about the definition of the right heart failure. Now, let us discuss in detail about the pathogenesis. So, here let me write about the pathogenesis of the right heart failure. So, there are various mechanisms to explain the pathogenesis of the right ventricular failure. If you talk about one by one in detail, one mechanism involves an increase in the right ventricular afterload by increased resistance to the blood flow out of the right ventricle into the lungs. What does it mean? We know that the right ventricle pumps its blood into the lungs by means of pulmonary artery, right? If there is any problem in the pulmonary artery, if there is accumulation of the blood in the pulmonary artery, if there is an embolism in the pulmonary artery, so whatever may be the reason, or if there is a pathology in the lungs where the pulmonary artery cannot drain its blood into the lungs, we can say that there is a resistance, right? There is a clear-cut resistance over here. So, because of this resistance, what happens is the right ventricle cannot able to pump its blood into the lungs over here. So, due to this, what happens is mainly is the right ventricular volume increases, right ventricular pressure increases, right? Whenever right ventricular pressure increases, gradually it leads to right ventricular failure. So, remember that this occurs mainly because of increased pressure in the pulmonary vasculature, example like pulmonary artery hypertension, or maybe increase in the pressure in the pulmonary capillaries like increase in pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. So, one thing is pathogenesis. What is the pathogenesis? Increased resistance. Increased resistance to the blood which is going out of the right ventricle via pulmonary artery into the lungs. Examples for such cases is pulmonary artery hypertension or increase in the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. Important MCQ. One mechanism explains because of increased resistance to the outflow of the blood from the right ventricle to the lungs by means of pulmonary artery, there will be a development of right heart failure. This is one mechanism. So, the best examples for this will be pulmonary artery hypertension, or it may be also because of pulmonary artery stenosis. I am writing it in a short forms. I hope you have to concentrate in what exactly I am saying over here, and there may be because of left heart failure, because left heart failure causes pulmonary congestion. Whenever there will be a pulmonary congestion, there will be increased resistance for the outflow of the blood from right ventricle into the lungs. So, that is the reason left heart failure. But one important MCQ point we need to know over here is the most common cause of right heart failure is the left heart failure. Even though there may be so many causes of right heart failure, but whenever the question will be asked, what is the most common cause of the right heart failure? Left heart failure is the most common cause for the development of right ventricular failure. So, it may be embolism in the pulmonary artery, like saddle embolism, saddle embolus in the pulmonary artery. So, saddle embolus in the pulmonary artery stenosis, left heart failure, pulmonary artery hypertension, increase in the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, all of this increases resistance for the outflow of the blood from right ventricle into the lungs, responsible for the development of the right heart failure, and this is the first mechanism. And what about the second mechanism over here? What about the second mechanism? In the second mechanism explains that there will be a decrease in the right ventricular contraction. Decrease in the right ventricular contraction. First mechanism is due to increased resistance for the outflow of the blood from the right ventricle into the lungs by means of pulmonary artery. All these are the examples. And second mechanism may be due to decreased right ventricular contraction. So, the decreased right ventricular contraction may be seen, examples may be seen in the conditions like right ventricular infarction, or it may be due to the myocarditis. This is the second mechanism. And next is about the third mechanism. So, the third mechanism explains there might be a non-compliance of the right ventricle. What do you mean by the compliance? Ability, which means right ventricle cannot able to fill properly. If the right ventricle cannot fill properly, right ventricle cannot pump properly according to the normal cardiac output, because the normal cardiac output from the right ventricle as well as left ventricle per beat is approximately 70 ml if the end diastolic volume is approximately 130 ml. If the end diastolic volume is approximately 100 or like 90 or 70, automatically the amount of the blood which is ejected from the ventricle will be lower. So that is the reason the third important mechanism explains non-compliance of the right ventricle. So non-compliance of right ventricle. What do you mean by the non-compliance of the right ventricle? Right ventricle cannot fill properly, right? Right ventricle cannot fill. That is what you need to say. Right ventricle cannot fill properly. So what are the examples why the right ventricle cannot fill properly? Because it cannot expand properly. Why? Somebody should restrict the expansion of the right ventricle, overall expansion of the heart. So what are the pathological conditions where it restricts the filling of the heart? Restrictive cardiomyopathy is the best example in this. For example, the examples if you see, restrictive cardiomyopathy. Restrictive cardiomyopathy is the best example for this. The restrictive cardiomyopathy can be seen in amyloidosis or glycogenosis, okay, and also it may be because of concentric right ventricular hypertrophy. So all this concentric right ventricular hypertrophy, restrictive cardiomyopathy decreases the compliance of the right ventricle. So the right ventricle becomes non-compliant, which means it cannot fill properly. That is the reason it cannot pump properly. This is the third mechanism. First mechanism explains about resistance. Second mechanism explains about the contractile capacity of the right ventricle, because due to right ventricular contraction is decreased. And third mechanism explains about the non-compliant right ventricle, right? So remember that whenever there is increase in the right ventricular preload, that increases the work in pumping the blood out of the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery is the fourth mechanism. So remember that the fourth mechanism involves there will be an increase in the right ventricular preload, increase in the right ventricular preload. So increase in the right ventricular preload, that increases work in pumping the blood out of the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery. Examples like, the regurgitation of the valves, or it may be because of left to right shunts, examples in ventricular septal defect, right? So these are the four mechanisms which explains the pathogenesis of the right ventricular failure.